Hi, my name is Sean Shaler. That's my friend Neil. That's my friend Jesse. I won't share their last names in case they want some privacy or some nonsense like that. Well, Neil's is on screen. Neil, do you want your last name on screen? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's
Great.
fine.
And
I don't
oh,
want mine known. This is in fact an alias. This is
this
not my real name.
you're pointing the wrong side, but that's a great chart. Sorry, on my side, you're pointing the wrong way. There you go. Hey, we should have done aliases, guys. Quick! What character are you in the Pokemon universe? Jesse, go. Good answer.
I,
Neil, go. Oh,
Brock.
Jesse, did you just freeze? You might have frozen.
I
That's just being
did.
an asshole.
No, I froze like mentally, physically, spiritually,
Oh,
not
I mean, your
technologically.
video might have frozen, and it was just me being a jackass.
No, not this time.
Not this. Excellent. What character would you be? I got a Brock from Neil. That seems to fit.
James
Well, okay.
of
Well,
Team Rocket.
I'm gonna go Ash because I'm lovable, but I secretly am terrible at Pokemon, and also pretty stupid. Or Sabrina's dad, kind of the same way, because his clues, he was very not subtle, so I could be him too.
Fair.
Welcome to PokéMalarkey. PokéMalarkey. I can't even say the name of the podcast. Episode 2. We liked it so much, we decided to do it again, and we brought along a friend this time because he also likes Pokemon, and he's got a beard, and I think that does a lot for our balance on screen. I think the beard adds a ton. So Neil,
Brings up the Butch factor.
it does, which is you maybe need some of that with Pokemon, or maybe not. It's not important. So we thought we would introduce Neil, let him answer our mushy, touchy-feely questions from last week, and then we'll jump into episode 2 of the show. Neil, would you care to elaborate why you like Pokemon and how you got into Pokemon? And if there's any really dramatic stories, make sure to take creative liberties to make them sound good.
Okay. So I guess why do I like Pokemon? I guess it would have been presented to me when I was around like 8 or 10, something like that, around the age of Ash, when he left Pallet Town. So I guess I really liked at that age this world of like wonder and possibility, with all of these like at the time there were only 150, eventually 151 Pokemon. I was like, oh crap, there's so many different kinds and they have all these different like properties and characteristics. And I was like, that's really cool. Um, and I actually got started by watching the anime. I didn't end up getting the games until Crystal was actually the first one that I got.
Oh wow.
The best
Yeah,
one.
yeah. My family didn't have a lot of like money, so they couldn't buy me the Game Boy and the games that came with it. But I started collecting like the cards. I don't know if you remember I think it was Tops that did it or something. They had the really, really thick cardboard ones they
Upper
were all
Deck.
like foil. Was it
Upper
Upper
Deck
Deck?
did those. Yep.
And I remember getting those from like gas stations or some shit, and eventually went into the official card collecting game, trading card game. So that was fun. And I guess I would have my experience with Pokemon was really just through like Gen 3. Anything after that, I was just like, no, that's too much. I think that there was a point where I I found out that there was like an ice cream cone Pokemon, and I'm just like, nope, gone. Can't deal with this.
That would have been in black and white. I can picture him. And you might actually be
Yeah.
offending Jesse because I hear he is a fan of ice type Pokemon. And I think
No.
ice cream probably fits into the ice type. I can't validate that.
Probably, but that's okay, Neil. And it sounds like, more importantly, that your kind of central motive there is very similar to what Sean and I discussed last week. That eventually, as other things were happening in our lives, it became too much. It just became too much, and it's another reason why we're trying to do this, so we can hold ourselves accountable and get caught up eventually, maybe.
Neil had to choose at some point between do I have time to beard groom and enjoy Pokemon? Can I balance both? And you know what? It's tough. It's really hard to do both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It is.
Neil, do you have a favorite Pokemon?
Um, I would have to say Onyx. I really like Onyx.
Nice.
Oh, so your Brock thing wasn't just like shtick. You actually dig the rock
Yeah.
types. Pun
No,
intended.
no, yeah. It's unfortunate that they're generally crap in the games. I'm playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, and I'm making it a point to just beef up my Onyx as much as possible, and make him not crap. I just never understood how this enormous rock snake has the shittiest attack stats, and I'm like, what is going on here? You could just pummel this like Spearow or whatever with a tackle, and it's like, no, it does like 4 damage. Like, no.
Physics and the Pokemon world do not go hand in hand. That is certain.
Absolutely not.
Don't forget too that we're talking about a Pokemon that was taken out by a sprinkler.
That's true.
So it's consistent to the games, and that's what we all demanded as children, that it be 1-to-1 with games. I'm just kidding. That's totally. Hey, you know what? Yours is very original though. I was boring. I went with I already forgot who I said. Oh, Alakazam, right? I forgot my own favorite Pokemon. And Jesse's is Cloyster. That Cloyster right there.
Cloyster forever. Someone commented on my Cloyster mug and said vagina Pokemon, and I hate that. I'm so angry that someone said that. I know, but I don't want to hear it.
Why do people have to ruin things? I don't know.
I don't want to look at my favorite Pokemon and see a vagina. And I know that may be a personal thing, orientation-wise, but I don't want that.
You know what? Orientation aside, I really don't either. So it's not
I'm not
ideal
gonna lie.
for Pokemon appearance.
When I was young, I was so confused because of the ordering. I think it's Shelter, Cloyster, and then it goes Ghastly, and I was like, wait, Ghastly is just that little like purple or black ball, and I was like so confused, like wait, does one evolve into the other or something?
Each one consecutively? How does that work?
I distinctly remember that as a child.
When a Cloyster dies, that little ball in the middle becomes Ghastly. Sure.
That's exactly it. Oh
Headcanon.
Perfect.
As I would say all three of us are probably type A to an extent, just based on where we work. Or it bugged the crap out of me when there was just one that had no evolution for anything in Gen 1. It was killing me. I was like, where does it come from? Where does it grow? How does it grow? What happens?
Where does it come from? Where does it go? It's a great Pokemon question.
Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. But it bugged the crap out of me. I was like, all these other have things, and you just worthless Electabuzz out here by yourself. And really, really pissed me off.
You get your wish later on. What? Elekid.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah. But
it's even a kid.
By Gen 2, like I think almost all the main line, the originals had some kind of evolution by Gen 2.
Yeah.
I think. And then I fell off far enough that I don't know after that. But hey, Neil, thanks a lot for joining us. It makes it feel more validated what we're doing when people actually have an interest. Now, granted, that took our total viewership down from 1 to 0 because we're all three here. But what's important is that we're here and we're having a great time. Now, actually,
exactly.
Neil, you remember Ian, the guy I play Magic with, and also softball, because those two things are compatible. And he actually wants to be on next time. So I had like 4 total views and like 2 people that asked if they could come join. So that was pretty cool, I thought.
That's awesome.
Without further ado, I don't know if you guys want to jump into talking about the very exciting episode 2 in the TV series, which I get screwed up by my own notes here. I think it's called Pokemon Emergency in the US or Japan, and Showdown Pokemon Center in the other one, but I actually don't know which is which.
Pokemon Emergency for us.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And this was September 9th, 1998, and I was just a wee lad, and I absolutely didn't see it at that time. Not a chance. Jesse, do you want to do what you did last week and kind of give us the synopsis of the episode before we start filing complaints?
Sure thing. So in Pokemon Emergency, at the end of the pilot episode, we end with Ash having fucked up once again, or for the first time, I suppose, and his Pikachu being seriously injured. So at the end, he's racing toward Viridian City, the nearest Pokemon Center, and that's where we pick up in Pokemon Emergency. As Ash, runs into town, he's stopped by Officer Jenny. The first time we see her, our valiant police officer backing the gals in blue. Officer Jenny stops him because there's been a string of Pokemon thieves in the area. But turns out Ash's Pokédex reveals that he is a Pokemon trainer from Pallet Town, just like he claims. and Nurse Joy puts him in the sidecar of her motorcycle and races to the Pokemon Center. At the same time, we get a view of the nefarious villains, as much as you can call them villains, Team Rocket, Jesse and James, and Meowth, who is the top cat. He reminds you at least 500 times in this episode.
In this episode alone.
Who are planning to steal rare Pokemon from the Pokemon Center in Viridian City. So Ash gets there, and of course, Misty's trailing behind him, still angry about her charred up bike that he also destroyed. And once there, Nurse Joy, someone else we encounter for the first time, takes Pikachu back. Critical care unit. Ash feels defeated. He calls his mom, just like any 10-year-old version of us would do. You know, when you're stranded in a city that you've never been to before in your life and your Pokemon is being operated on, naturally you want to call your mother. And while there, he gets a call from Professor Oak, who shits on Ash's hope that he saw legendary Pokemon.
Because once again, he is a piece of shit.
Once again, Professor Oak is terrible to Ash and does not deserve the acclaim we give him.
Not at all.
And Misty shows up where Ash has to tell Misty, I'm sorry about your bike, you crazy broad, but my Pikachu is in surgery. It's very serious. Turns out Pikachu's going to be fine. And then, lo and behold, who comes a-knocking? Team Rocket. And this is the only time in the entire series that Team Rocket actually seems cool and hard and badass. They're there. They seem like they mean business. Coughing and Ekans are actually good at something in this episode. They blast through the Pokemon Center. It seems like a real emergency. And turns out, after a few series of mishaps that I don't want to go into too much yet, Pikachu and other Pikachus are able to blast Team Rocket off for the first time, even though they don't say it this time, which was a fun surprise for me.
Because they didn't do it again. It was just the first time. So they would have just been like,
right.
Team Rocket is blasting off, and then it would have sounded awkward. You know, I get it.
It would have.
I get it.
So, and then that's the end of episode 2. Ash, Misty, and Pikachu set off for the Viridian Forest.
Neil, you stroked your mustache like once or twice during Jesse's segment, and because you guys both have glorious facial hair, I've never felt more self-conscious about being able to see my whole ugly face.
It's just 3 different stages of, having facial hair.
It's evolution.
Yeah.
So at some point, Jesse and I are finally going to sprout.
Call me up, Pokemon Company. I've got a new idea.
Oh my god, the beard Pokemon.
It evolves from Sean to Jesse to Neil. That's amazing. Although that might be getting younger, actually, chronologically by age. That might be wrong. Neil, you're younger.
Well,
than
I'm
Jesse?
the youngest.
You're the youngest. Okay, I got it backwards then. If you guys will indulge me, I would like to list off a ton of the tropes that are introduced in this episode. That's basically this entire episode is just tropes.
Go for it.
Feel free to interject with whether or not it's stupid. So we get to see Team Rocket, and they do blast off. You get the Officer Jenny and the Nurse Joy, which you don't know is a trope yet, but it's the first time we see those. Calls to Professor Oak, where Professor Oak is an asshole. Calls to Mom, where she's kind of negligent and doesn't care. So that's a big one. Ash deflecting Misty, just all together. Lots of burns and barbs. Misty throws a worthless Pokemon. That's a big one. She constant. Has she ever thrown a useful Pokemon in her whole life? Probably not. Ash jumps to like weird mechanical engineering crap to solve a problem. So in this one, he like hops on the bike to generate electricity.
Sure, I know.
There's all these other weird ones throughout the series where Ash just pulls out some random like 8th grade science, but apparently that a 10-year-old that doesn't go to school still somehow knows to make the lock on that one door really hot and then really cold and back and forth again until it breaks, because lots of 10-year-olds know that don't go to school. And then
oh my god, I'm just realizing Ash only has like
you're right.
Station.
No wonder he's so goddamn stupid.
Oh my god,
he's worthless. He's done.
I have not thought about that until you said that right now, Sean. I have never thought about that.
Imagine yourself. Crap. It's one thing being 10, and then it's totally another thing being out in the world with a 9-year-old's education because you're not in school at 10.
Oh my gosh, he barely knows how to write cursive.
And so this, to me, this episode, that was the big thing, was just tropes over and over and over again, and you don't realize it when you're watching it, the first time, but when I was watching it this time, I was like, this episode is just all stuff that keeps happening forever and ever.
That's the stage. Yeah, you're right. Spot on.
So, full disclosure, at some point, this Zoom is gonna just stop, and I'm gonna have to refresh it somehow. I don't remember how it works. If I have to like leave and refresh it, just go on without me. It'll probably be more interesting, and I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Other thoughts on episode? We haven't given Neil a chance to speak his mind yet. Neil, thoughts on the second episode, excuse me.
I have so many random stupid notes.
Please.
Go for it.
The first thing that I noted about episode 2, I've been in this weird hole on YouTube about like how to interact with law enforcement and like what they can actually do and how they like act out of their like level of authority or whatever. And Officer Jenny like suspects him of the crime of stealing Pikachu and immediately asks him to identify himself, which is like a normal like interaction with the police. But then Ash gives him like, eventually she takes his identity, like his ID or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like the magic Pokedex. The Pokedex just says like he's a Pokemon trainer, not that he owns Pikachu. So you know how when you're walking around and a cop pulls you over and you say, "Yeah, I'm a person," and you give them your cell phone, and they're like, "Okay, you're good to go." Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't think that Officer Jenny knew what she was doing. It was like,
going off of that. I would like to agree with Neil that Officer Jenny definitely needs a retraining on some legal issues, but also her riding her motorcycle and skidding straight into the Pokemon Center. There were a few jokes in this one that made me laugh really hard, and I don't know if it was me like now versus me as a young kid, but when she skids in there, and the first thing Nurse Joy says is, "We have a driveway, you know."
Yeah.
That's gonna handle it.
But the way she slid in there was so dope. It was like
action. It was. She was so cool.
Absolutely. Everybody was cool in this episode, right? Like we
except Nurse Joy.
Except Nurse Joy.
I would like to point out
that's
later
a snarky
on.
Comeback though, okay.
Later on, no, we find out that she has Pikachu's as her generator, and Ash is holding Pikachu in her hands. She goes, "That looks like a Pikachu." Yes, Nurse Joy. Yes. But then I later on thought to myself, I guess this is the Pokemon world, and it could have been a Ditto. I don't know what happens to a Ditto when they like faint. Do they revert back to Ditto form? Do they stay in the last form they were in?
I love the episode where we see the first Ditto and it tries to change in the other Pokemon, and it's like on stage doing the trick, and the guy in the crowd is like, "It still has that stupid face," and that's like what the guy says in the episode. Like, that's great. That's the best line in all Pokemon. Sorry, jumping way ahead, but that's a favorite episode of mine, I think, in this first season. What else happens in this one? Team Rocket was cool. They had a good run. Maybe the coolest that they are until they steal that Kickmonlee, and they finally managed to steal a Pokemon, and it does.
I mean, this is the coolest they are because they haven't failed yet.
They haven't.
When this starts, you feel like, oh wow, these guys must be serious villains, and of course, time tested and true. They're the worst criminals in the history of criminality. And there are some cool things that happen here with Team Rocket that I made a few notes of. Like, Ash talks about, not wanting them to get his Pikachu. And Jesse says, "We're not interested in your electric rat," which is hilarious because for the next, 200 episodes?
Yeah.
The thing they are most focused on is getting that Pikachu.
Yeah. This common Pokemon that there's enough of to run a generator to power a hospital.
Exactly.
Like, we got to steal this one.
It's not rare or special, except for the fact that...
But it might be special.
I mean,
right?
in the game, you can only get it from Viridian Forests, and they're pretty difficult to find, so...
That's true.
rare.
I mean, I don't know about difficult, right? Like, I don't know. I caught one pretty. I like electric
yeah.
Pokemon, so I
At
definitely
least in the
seek him out.
Pokemon world, at least in Kanto, they appear to not be that rare because they're
Yeah.
everywhere. Everyone has a Pikachu.
Okay, but
I
like
mean, they're not Rattata, but still.
they're like so. I realized in this episode that like coughing is the perfect like Pokemon for thieves. You just come in, instant smoke screen,
Yeah,
and it's perfect.
it's great. This is the coolest that coughing or Ekans or their later evolutions will ever look, because in this episode they're like breaking things, breaking through doors, like actually being
Yeah.
cool. And I guess they're actually kind of cool in the next episode too. But most of the time we see them, they're like moving around for maybe 5 seconds, and then they get their asses handed to them.
It's not their fault. It is gross Poke mismanagement.
I agree. Jesse and James are not known for being exceptional Pokemon trainers.
They're just so don't you dare blame coughing in Ekans. I almost said Kekins and offing. It's not their fault. What if Ash had them? That might actually be worse. Never mind.
Yeah. We also at some point we also have Ash's father referenced. It happens a couple times.
Yes.
But, his mom ended up mentioning that it took Ash's father like 4 days to get
4 days.
And it's like, okay. I always remember being enamored like later in life, like what the hell happened with Ash's father? Like, and then we get into the like Lieutenant Surge references a war, and I don't know.
We're gonna talk about the great Pokemon War when that episode comes for sure.
See, I'm looking forward to that too, Neil, because I have always been interested in that too, and I feel like they answer it at some point, but I think I may have missed that. But I'm very excited to talk about that too. Also, I thought to myself, it took him 4 days. What was he doing for 4 days? Hopefully, just catching Pokemon, which Ash was not, successful in doing. But
not to mention, like, can you really spend that much time in that stretch of?
We've all been there. It's just Pidgeys and Rattatas until you want to fucking rip your eyes out.
It's not 4 days material, and I apologize. I'm not ignoring you both. I'm trying to sign up for like free Zoom so we can keep talking. I probably should. I think normal people think of this stuff before the podcast.
This is very loosey-goosey, so we're not going to hold it against you.
Lucy, there's got to be a Pokemon like pun we could build into there, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
So I would like to think about, when they're cornered, when they're trying to send the Pokeballs to the Pewter City Pokemon Center, and Coughing and Ekans burst through the door, and we have that moment, first of all, where Misty challenges Ash to not just throw the Pokeballs, and the first one we get, Pidgey, very helpful, not at all. Then the next one, empty, great, thanks Nurse Joy. And then Rattata, and then Misty, like Sean said earlier, thinks she's going to handle it, and
oh my gosh,
sends out a Goldeen, and we know her. We know that she has better Pokemon than that, and she just chooses to send out the fish.
Well, okay, this is something that I specifically wrote down, and I'm still like confused. How the fuck do Pokemon trainers know which of the identical Pokeballs to grab? Do they mark them? Pikachu's ball had like.
I told Sean this last week. In the manga, there is a clear top, and it's so weird because they just kind of like sit there and stare at them, the Pokemon, but you can see them through the top of it.
Is that not just like
Neil?
Is that not just like a way that they like illustrate it in the manga, similarly to like
it could
character's eyes like go through the hair or something? Like
it could be, but at least that would be a better explanation than just, unless maybe you're just like. But then I guess in the Pokemon game you can rearrange the order. So I guess but Misty just keeps all hers in her bag. Just
but when they take them out, it's not like they're looking for an insignia. Ash is just like I choose Charizard.
Also, no wonder Psyduck appears all the time. It's not his fault. Misty's just grabbing the first Pokeball she has and throws it. No wonder Psyduck pops out every opportunity he has the chance to.
How the heck did she become a gym leader? Like
by default. I don't know what we were talking about though, so I hope you guys do.
No, not at all. I'm glad, Sean, that you're such a smooth operator.
You know what? The first word I would use to describe myself is smooth, but with much sarcasm, like the '90s when they used to say that as a diss. So I think we were talking about clear Pokeballs and why Misty is bad because of course you're going to throw out Psyduck. He probably weighs the least because he floats on water, and so he's at the top when you reach into your bag and throw it, and that's why she always throws out Psyduck. It's her own damn fault.
I mean, he's also low key, like pretty powerful. Like there's at least one move.
I just finished the Hollywood episode, the episode before the Hollywood episode where he's on camera and he does the little butt shake thing.
We got to wait to talk about the Hollywood episode because that whole episode is an entire pet peeve of mine.
It is, and the Paris thing that Misty says, all these things that imply that this exists somewhere in the real world.
I know, I can't handle it today. It's very wild and mind opening when you watch it as a 28-year-old versus as like 7 or 8. It's very dramatically different in terms of your understanding.
And someday we'll address the question: do Pokemon go to the bathroom? Someday we will address that.
What else in Pokemon Emergency do we need to tackle? Anything else?
What else needs trashed, really? Because at least this episode was very. The first one was very dramatic, but this one had more of the flair of like the standard episode going forward,
which is another trope.
Yeah, but
it sets up the whole structure. Something happens, something relatively ordinary, and they interact with other characters, and then as it happens, Team Rocket descends usually from the sky to put up a fight for a short little bit, and then they get blasted off. So that's another trope this sets up. It sets up the structure for most of the episodes.
I don't have anything else listed that I think needs to be chastised or castigated.
I have a few random comments.
Please
do it.
One, like I didn't realize this as a child, but the Pika power was so fucking cute. Like,
isn't it?
They're just all like Pika 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 Pika
and
Pika.
They're
Pika.
so happy to do it. They're so jacked.
Oh my gosh, it was adorable.
It is.
And like, I noticed like the ingredients on Professor Oak's pizza that he ordered, like anchovies, spinach, and pineapple. And I'm like, you know what? If you were to take any one of those, like it's really the anchovies and pineapple where I'm like, no. Like
I could do anchovies.
All three of those are disgusting.
No. Pineapple on a pizza is fine.
Nope,
anchovies on a pizza,
shut you out of this podcast
Together,
right now.
No.
Hold on. Can I mute? Yeah, I can totally. All right, so Neil's opinion doesn't matter, but I think Jesse said that. Jesse, which one did you like that's also gross and you're also wrong?
I'm fine with spinach and anchovies, but no pineapple.
I hate anchovies. I will palate some spinach. I'm going to unmute Neil now. Hey, Neil, you're not supposed to unmute yourself. That's kind of
I would like to point out, though, the very first thing we see when we see him from the wrong camera, he's already making ramen. There's a bag there. The ramen is out. There's boiling water. He's already making ramen. And the next second, his pizza's there.
Also, like, the fact that I don't know. I realized, like, wait, why the hell are they making this joke? They're making Oak seem really stupid. He's like, he calls the Viridian City Poke Center, and he's like, oh, Ash. And it's like, oh, I was calling to see if you had made it to the Viridian City. Like, and he's like, yeah, I did. You called the Viridian City Poke Center.
He goes like, you wouldn't be talking to me if I wasn't here, Professor Oak.
And he's just like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, yeah, how many Pokemon did you capture?
Yeah, I bet my grandson Gary $1 million that you would have caught one by now. Well, good thing money isn't everything, right, Professor?
Right? Oh, this is perfect. We're gonna make a link from the anime to the game now, because you ever wonder why Misty was so preoccupied about getting like repayment for the bike? Because in the game they're $1 million freaking dollars.
$1 million.
They're expensive. Like,
Yeah, no one.
Good point.
Interested. Hey, that's a great segue, though. If you don't have any other points, let's talk game for just a minute or two. So at this point in the game, the only part that kind of equates to like none of this equates because we haven't run into any Team Rocket yet.
Right.
So here, what's playing on screen, I just went on to Victory Road and caught a Mankey and kind of started leveling him up. I thought we'd give Neil a chance to talk about his early game and choices as he played through a few episodes worth. At least, Neil, up to like episode 3 territory. How's your playthrough treating you?
For Pokemon Go, Let's Go Eevee.
Yeah.
Let's see. I basically.
Who's your starter? Give us your starter first.
Well,
you have Eevee. Duh. Sorry. Yeah. Different. Not different. I'm stupid. It's fine.
I'm a little perturbed with that. I thought I'd be able to evolve it at this point, but I'm not allowed to. It just gets pissed at me every time I try to poke it with a water stone.
Which is why I don't use that stupid bitch. He just sits on my head and it stays there. It makes me so angry.
Yeah, it's.
Don't you ever call Eevee a stupid bitch again, or I'll mute
you. He is a stupid bitch.
No, Eevee is probably the third or fourth best Pokemon.
Eevee is only good because of what he can evolve into.
You right here.
There's eventually an episode that proves you wrong on that. But
there's literally an episode dedicated to proving Jesse wrong. Can't wait till we get there. It's going to be great.
But I agree. But from a gameplay perspective, he's absolutely right. But from a humane Pokemon perspective,
he's so attractive. He's like a little dog. He follows behind you in Pokemon Let's Go. It's the cutest thing since the Pika Power deal.
So I'm actually really happy with the beginning gameplay of Pokemon Go Let's Go Eevee because I'm able to capture one of my favorite Pokemon, and that was Bellsprout, because one of my favorite is Weepinbell and Victory Bell.
Victory Bell!
And it's perfect.
Electabuzz is also pretty good, in my opinion.
But you can't find Electabuzz on Route 1.
That's Screech.
Jesse sent me a thing the other day that was like normal Pokemon, say their name or roar.
Yeah.
Victory Bell just
goes.
I mean, there's also Electabuzz, which says he's kind of in the he's just like Electabuzz, and it's like I don't know. I thought it was
just some of the Pokemon, they really phoned it in, and it's fantastic.
The Electabuzz, the competing gyms one where you first see that the first time. It's like, even as a kid, you're like, that's amazing. I don't know that's going to equate to a motorboat later on in life yet at that age, but that's fantastic.
But Neil, you're right. It's awesome to have Bellsprout available that early. Also, something I love about the newer Pokemon generations, it is fantastic to see these motherfuckers in the grass. I don't have to be surprised. Yeah. I can avoid them if I want to.
But I hate the throwing mechanic. I like JRPGs, damn it.
That's the good thing about the Galar region. Galar, whatever, for Sword and Shield. That it's classical. You have to fight them to weaken them.
I haven't gotten those
something
yet
Ash does not know about.
I haven't gotten them yet. Yeah, it's something Ash wouldn't know.
I would like to tie that in because Ash is really bad at catching Pokemon.
We're gonna trash him so hard on that next episode.
We are. I'm ready.
He's still yes. Ash at the end of episode 2 is all everyone's even Dexter calls him, or the Pokedex calls him stupid for being you're supposed to weaken them, dumbass. And at the end of episode 2, he's like, oh, a Caterpie, turn my hat around. Instant cool mode, the only time he's cool, and then he throws a Pokeball just straight, and it's like,
it's not that cool.
And then cliffhanger. Will he catch the Caterpie? Will he make it? Who knows?
About that, that's crazy. That's the
experience suggests he won't. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if we had a whole series where the Pokédex talked trash, but like us talking '90s trash, so it's time appropriate?
What I want is what is it that old commentary show that made fun of really terrible movies?
What is it called?
There were two robots.
I can't think of what it's called. It's
anyway,
so meta.
People watching maybe one of them will know what it is. But I want to watch Pokemon with Dexter providing running commentary about how bad Ash is.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. The one person watching this isn't going to know the show because, first of all, it's probably my mom. And second of all, no, I'm just kidding. It's my wife.
I'd be really impressed if your mom was watching this.
I don't know if she knows what Twitch is, but maybe someday.
Oh my gosh. Every mother, like this was my mom too. Like going through the Pokemon, it's like I
Is
present
that a
all the story.
Pikachu?
Yeah, you know, is that Pikachu? It's like every fucking time.
Every
And
Nintendo,
then it's
every
and
console's
then
a
you present
Nintendo, every
Pikachu and
Pokemon's
she's like,
Pikachu.
"Is that a Charizard?"
Yep.
Damn
Is
it,
this a
Mom.
Charizard?
Oh my gosh,
I'm
that
a
meme.
meme.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's so
All
Neil,
right.
you caught a few Pokemon, got your Bellsprout, and that's in Let's Go Eevee, right? And the next episode we'll talk a little bit more about being in the Viridian Forest, I think.
Yeah.
But for
I
Actually-
now,
love Viridian Forest.
Jesse, do you want to give us like a 2-minute touch on a little more manga? You read up a little farther. Anything cool?
There is nothing that relates, especially to this episode.
Not at all. But last
Because-
week, Neil
because
officially
Red
got cut in
is-
half.
Well, it's just so much cooler than what we were forced to suffer through.
Absolutely.
And I say suffer through with a lot of
Love
heart
in my
because
heart, yeah.
yes, because I am enjoying it very much. But I will just say, reading it has been a lot more badass, way more badass. And when it is applicable, I will fill you in because wow.
Is
The
this
thing-
the
the
manga
thing about
where?
it- Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Like, is this the manga where the starter is like Clefairy? I vaguely remember.
No. The starter is his starter is he still gets a Pikachu from Professor Oak, but before then he has a fucking
Poliwhirl?
Poliwhirl.
Wag.
Oh,
Poliwag,
really?
right?
Poliwhirl.
He starts with Poliwhirl. What a load of crap.
Yep. He because we have no background for it, but apparently, and before we get into the entire series, when he was very young, he was drowning and was saved by a Poliwag. And then they became close, and then he started raising it, became a Poliwhirl. So as soon as we meet Red, who is 1,000 times more badass than Ash Ketchum could ever hope he could
Infinitely
ever
cooler,
be,
absolutely.
he's already got a Poliwhirl, and in the very first issue, gets a Nidorino, just like that.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't even fight it. He just throws the Pokeball, gets it, the end.
See.
Anyway,
Okay. Low
he's a
key,
lot
though-
cooler.
Low key though, like in Pokemon Crystal, at the very end of the game where you go to Mount Silver, and it's just like you see Red, and it's just like you click on him, like press A, and it's like ... Like that was just like, oh my god, this is so cool.
I don't remember that.
So
I do briefly.
I
Briefly?
think let's cut out for this episode. I think then if there's no applicable manga, got a little gameage in there, and again, none of the game relates to this episode whatsoever. But I think let's cut out for this episode. Go ahead, Neil.
I will say that I really appreciate the fact that in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, like you actually do meet Team Rocket in Viridian City. Like I think it's like before, like
It is fun.
Yeah, it's like there's actually a connection between them. You
Yep.
don't battle them or I think, but
Little
like
quick reference, kind of.
yeah. But it's like, oh wait, that's actually like it lines up.
And it's so exciting to see them because in the earlier iterations, you don't see them. You see Team Rocket, but you don't see Jesse and James and Meowth. So seeing them for the first time in Viridian City is really exciting. It's like, oh wow, finally!
Yeah, exactly.
They look great on the little.
They
Switch
do
screen.
look
They
great.
Tremendous. The art style is like perfectly suited to the Switch screen. It's beautiful.
All right, folks. So that's Pokemon Emergency. I would like to point out one thing too. So Sean came up with the name PokéMalarkey, but I would like to just call back to something wonderful that has also just like serendipitously worked. 2020 election year. In 2016, Hillary Clinton made that joke about, have you heard about Pokemon Go? I'd love Pokemon to go to the polls, but our nominee this year is Joe Biden if you're a Democrat, and he says malarkey all the time.
He does say malarkey.
So-
I never thought of that.
So just think about that. Someone could tell Joe about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and his first response would probably be, that's a bunch of Pokemalarkey.
And then everybody would Google it right away. They'd be like PokéMalarkey, and nothing would come up because we don't have a website. But if they dug far enough, they might maybe see this video. And
It's just very apropos. It's very
It is
2020.
You know, we need a slogan to end on. So maybe our slogan to end on, like our good advice today: go vote, people. Be Americans.
Right.
Go vote. That's
Unless
all.
you're-
Yeah. That's
Unless
the
you're
the
not in
most.
this-
Yeah, you know what? I hope we have non-American listeners also. But
Unless you belong to Death Eaters.
or
then
That
and you know which party I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because you know which one of you is the death cult.
Oh, Pokelitical here, am I right? That's all for this week. Come back next week. Neil's going to record one more for us because we have him held hostage inside of his house, and I know he's got nothing better to do. So come listen to us.
And we
talk
love
about
Neil.
last week. And we love Neil. Also that, yeah, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm
All
Sean.
right.
That's Neil, who got to end up on bottom where he wanted to be, and Jesse up there. And this has been
And I'm Jesse.
this has been PokéMalarkey, whatever, it's fine. Episode 2. We'll see you next week.